Hello, everybody out there. This is Kenoshi Abominita here with another episode of Project Console. The title of this episode is Space Heater. But before we get into our topics, I want my panelists to introduce himself. Hello.
Yeah, it's me, Mr. Red Fox, owner proprietor of BS Busters. I'm glad to be on another cast.
Yeah, glad to have you. So, this week was a big week in tech. Um, AMD, they just launched their new CPUs. I've been watching a few of the reviews. People say that the CPUs are pretty good, but one problem is that they underload. I'm not quite clear on this, but I'm guessing underload. Typically, when it's underload, it gets pegged at 95 degrees, and it's trying to just eke out as much of that thermal headroom as possible. But
Yeah, because
yeah,
these are their CPUs, right?
yeah, yeah.
Aren't a lot of these CPUs APUs? They're like GPU CPU combos.
Yeah, I mean, this time they are. They're not using anything fancy as their APUs. It's not like they're using RDNA
Yeah,
2. They're using Vega
you-
graphics, but yeah,
we aren't there yet. Like Intel and Nvidia and TSMC have been working on a new way of making CPUs where basically you take bits and pieces of dies that of features that you want that CPU to have, and then melding it together. And we're about 5 years away from that, but we're not there yet. And if anyone's going to do it, it would be TSMC and Intel because Intel's been working on it at least for like the last 4 years, and TSMC probably the last five. Um, but the way it is now, just like splicing stuff together in an APU is not really because an APU is never going to be as good as a dedicated CPU or a dedicated GPU.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the APU CPU combos. I like the idea just for the fact of just for the fact for certain like customization reasons. Because if they do get good enough,
I mean, for
it's like what.
businesses, yeah, for businesses that don't need a lot of power, like processing power, like if you're running a coffee stand, having a instead of you having a cash register in the traditional sense, having like a specialized laptop with an APU in it is perfect.
I was saying like I guess I'm more thinking along the lines of an SOC where you can just create a small dedicated, more dedicated gaming machine. Of course, it wouldn't be as powerful as the.
Eh, I
The
mean, that would be more of a uh, uh, I mean, that's a different kettle of fish right there.
yeah,
Like if you're trying to like I think we're about 10 years away from that.
yeah,
Uh and whatever it is going to use a Linux a power that's more power PC type stuff right there.
because I think the Steam Deck and I think a lot of these other gaming handhelds use an SoC.
Yeah, but they're using a bootleg version of that
Yeah,
cuz basically you're thinking like ARM type stuff,
uh,
which is
yeah,
a derivative of power PC.
yeah. Uh, yeah, no. I think honestly there might come a day where you will have. We might be far away from that where you do have a SoC that you can use for custom builds and stuff rather than
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we're gonna get there one day. That's gonna be. I mean, we have it now with like Raspberry Pis and stuff like that. But
yeah, yeah. That's what I
I
was
mean,
thinking
like
of.
you would never do serious gaming on a Raspberry Pi
No,
or any like serious business applications.
yeah,
But
that's
for
base.
casual stuff, yeah,
That's
it's fine.
that. I mean, that's basically where I'm getting at. Creating sort of a micro PC for emulation. Instead of
Oh
having.
yeah, yeah. They already have that. You get a Raspberry Pi. One of my old girlfriends took an old Game Boy SP and paid for a dude to put a Raspberry Pi. I think it was a 3.0 in it, and it's a great emulator.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, chips for the most part are pretty popular. It's going back to AMD. They are they right now they're pretty much the king of the gaming CPU lineup. Uh,
Because they're
except
cheap.
except for the well, the thing about the new Ryzen CPUs, and here's one of the big downsides for the 5600 or 7600 7600X is that they're not really all that cheap because you have to upgrade to a whole new platform. The motherboards right now are very expensive,
Yeah,
$300 to four hundred
yeah,
dollars, and the
yeah.
RAM
To be,
and the DDR5 too is expensive.
but to be honest, though, I mean that's the price you pay with graphics cards. Is that at a certain point you're just like it's better for you to just to build a new PC because
Yeah,
if you're going to replace the motherboard, you might as well just build a new PC anyway. You know, it's like or get a new PC and just get a new PC with the newer motherboard, and then when the prices go down, get a new graphics card,
I mean, we'll see.
which might be the cheaper option for a lot of people.
I mean, the thing is, um, yeah, because if you're say you're already using a AMD, the right your I think it's Ryzen 3, uh, AM, yeah, Ryzen 3. You're on a if you're using like a 5000 series CPU, you're pretty much on a dead end platform. So, yeah, you would pretty much have to upgrade your
Well,
motherboard.
I mean, if you're on the 5000 series, because I have a 5700 XT. Basically, when AMD came out with their 6000 series 2 years ago, or as it was 18 months ago last year, those those basically use more power, and you only got like 10-15% better performance.
Yeah, yeah,
And with the 70 with the 7000 series, they're using even more power, they run hotter, and you're getting a boost of like 20-25% better performance. It's not enough at this point to really upgrade or build a new PC quite yet, even though I just built a new PC uh, with a new motherboard in it. But it's just it's not quite there yet. I think the people who are really screwed are the people who are still rocking 4080s, 590s. Those people are fucked right now. Uh, if you have a 5000 series, especially on the higher end, you're good for another release. Just hold out until you're not going to be using the highest settings for a lot of games. But I mean, I don't need 4K or 2K gaming.
yeah, yeah, and you know, with the announcements of these chips, as natural as it comes to these things, Intel responded. They were second topic. Intel responded. They announced their new CPUs coming out in a few weeks, and
Yeah, they look pretty damn good. I'm not gonna lie.
and yeah, yeah. It's one of those things we're gonna have to wait and see until independent benchmarkers look at these chips. But yeah, one of the edges that they will have is on AMD is you can still use their motherboards from the last generation, and
Yeah,
you can still use DDR4, so you don't have to upgrade to a new platform. if you're, looking to upgrade. So,
Well,
uh,
the thing is, I'm not so sure about that because I'm pretty sure a lot of the cusp motherboards that came out 2 or 3 years ago, you can download a firmware update that lets them use DDR5.
I thought the DDR5 RAM sticks were keyed differently than the DDR4 because
No,
it's not
no,
also
you
just
can download a firmware update, not the older ones, but the ones that came out like 2 or 3 years ago. You can download a firmware update that lets them use DDR4. I mean DDR5.
DDR5. Okay, that's interesting. Um, yeah, 'cause I just thought the physical like pins were keyed differently because each RAM stick generation has a different like you can't stick DDR3
Not, I
motherboard
mean,
into
you
a
can't use them.
DDR4.
You can't. You have to use the same thing. But if you have a motherboard from like 5 years ago and you have DDR3, if you have like four sticks of the same like frequency of DDR3, you can use it if you so choose. Um, Now, will that motherboard use it as efficiently because it's keyed? It's been built around the concept of DDR4. Probably not, but you can use it. Yeah.
Hmm.
It doesn't seem commercially viable to release products that there isn't really a market quite yet to sustain people buying DDR5 yet,
Yeah, yeah,
unless you're an enthusiast, because then you're pricing yourself out the market. I think within the next 3 or 4 years, as DDR5 goes down in price and becomes the standard, you'll see that change. But as it is right now, I don't, you know,
yeah. One of the things people are kind of freaking out about the Intel stuff is just some of the weird things some of the weird things they were doing with their numbers. But then again, it's just kind of like I look at a lot of this stuff, and all these companies kind of do some
bake
weird
their
things
numbers.
with their
They all
yeah,
bake their numbers.
yeah,
Nvidia, AMD, Intel. Here's what I'm going to say. Having Intel, Nvidia, and AMD actually be competitive with each other means one very, very important thing. As consumers, we all win
yeah, yeah.
because they're going to be fighting each other with innovation and prices.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If AMD's acting funky with their new CPUs, like, hey, well, shit, I can put an Nvidia CPU in my PC because, or sorry, an Intel CPU in my PC, and I know for a fact that Intel CPUs work well with almost every type of graphics card.
Yeah. Yep. And yeah, so Intel, one of the problems they had last generation, especially at their higher end CPUs, is again they got super warm. Also, you know they also acted weird if your frequency was too high on your RAM. But
Overclocked it, yeah, yeah.
other
They
other than that, it should be interesting. It should be interesting to see what the competition looks like in the next couple of weeks. It seems like Raptor Lake, which is 13th gen, came out 10 months after 12th gen, which is it's kind of weird. So this might be a stopgap between 12th and third and whatever 14th gen is. So this might just be 12th gen plus. But yeah, we'll see when it comes out.
yeah, that's true. Um, so I guess we'll move on to the next topic.
Yeah, oh yeah, we'll move on to the next topic. So G4 TV is dead. G4 TV is it's pretty much finished. There's been a lot of layoffs. This one woman who who went on her rant, who calls herself Frost slash Indiana Black, um, was cheering for the fact that she was able to avoid getting laid off. She went on Twitter and basically said, "Yeah, still survived." And then, like a couple days later, she ended up getting laid off. So G4 TV. I mean, the problem with G4 TV is that they're bringing it back. Is it didn't make a lot of sense. Most of the internet, majority of their internet, had already moved on, way beyond G4 TV. There are other people that do the same thing G4 TV did, except
Um,
except better when it comes to you know when it comes to game reviews and game analysis and stuff like that.
I agree and also disagree. I think there is a niche for uh programming like G4 TV. I think the mistake they made is that they were still trying to run it like it was still the 90s,
Yeah,
early 2000s, where it was like this huge production. They should have went small because there are channels on YouTube and Twitter and I mean not Twitter and Twitch that basically have TV shows, but it's very small operations. Like there should have been maybe like 12, 13 people running G4 TV.
yeah,
Maybe at the most 20, and like keeping everything very well budgeted and stuff like that. They could have brought back Sessler and all that shit, and that would have been great. But I mean, they were trying to run a classic TV show, um, where in a society where a lot of people moved on from TV. But like I said, there were some like like there was a I think the same lady you're talking about where she basically had to get into entitled gamer bros asses about why are you making sexist comments about female hosts on G4, and it needed to be said. I'm glad someone said it. Like I'm like these are topics that people need to talk about that people are afraid to talk about. Like there is a level of toxicity in gaming culture, unfortunately, and people need to talk about that. So, I mean, there's still a niche there, but it wasn't handled well. But when you remember that the company that brought back G4 was Comcast, I'm not surprised.
yeah. I mean, the thing is, it wasn't necessarily because people point to that situation. It wasn't necessarily that broke G4 again. I just think, like I said,
No, they were too big for, and they weren't bringing in the type of money to keep it for it to be sustainable. That's why I said they should have kept it small, more intimate. You would have had to have to hustle so that they could have provided, like, really, if they were smart, they could have provided 9 hours of content a week, um, maybe 3 or 4 shows, each one focusing on different things in gaming, and kept it tight, neat. Because like I said, like one of my favorite shows is a thing called Double Toasted, and it's run by one guy on Twitch, and he basically, like, aside from him, his friend and guests he brings on, like it's just him and his friend and people he brings on, but he's running the whole thing himself, so. And that guy has, let's see, Monday show, Tuesday show, Wednesday show, Thursday show. He doesn't do Friday shows, but sometimes he does interviews on Friday and Sunday shows.
yeah,
He reviews movies. He has a video game show. This guy is providing, like, at least during a week just by himself, like, uh, his shows run on average between 2.5 to 3 hours, 5 shows a week. Let's average out 3 hours a week. I mean, 3 hours per show. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shows. 3 times 6, 18 hours of content with one dude.
yeah,
You know, like like G4 TV wasn't providing that level of content with like what, like 60 people. Like you can't make money that way.
yeah.
It's unsustainable. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that it went under. It was commercially they weren't really making enough money and ad revenue in order to succeed, which is a shame. Like I said, because like I said, I do think that there were things that needed to be talked about, like how the gaming industry has changed, how things that we used to think weren't a big deal have become all too pervasive in gaming. There was a real discussion that could have been had there, but whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's really not the end of the world. The end of the world that G4 TV is done. Maybe you could still do something like that, except maybe not call it G4 TV. But
Yeah, because I mean, like I said, um there needs to be places where you can talk about video games and discuss things that might be uncomfortable about video games, but they need to be talked about. Um, stuff like that needs to exist. But in this, once again, I think it was just the mishandling of, um, once again, G4 TV was mishandled by the network that had it.
yeah,
I don't know what's up with that. I don't know why every time G4 TV comes out, it's mishandled, but whatever.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, is there anything else you'd like to say about this topic?
But G4 TV dying, I mean, like I said, I feel sorry for the people who lost their jobs. It's always sad when people lose their jobs. Um, it's a shame that it died because people wouldn't pay attention.
Well, yeah, yeah. Also, now moving on to our fourth topic. So Razer is now. Oh yeah, to make an adjustment to last week's cast. I said LG was making a handheld. It was really Logitech. It was Logitech. It's it's just that was the initials of their handheld. It was I think it's like the Logitech gaming. So it was Logitech game their handheld. But
I
now,
mean, what I said, what I said last week, it still applies. It's like you're saturating the market with handhelds.
yeah, and here we go again. Um, Razer is making their own Android-based handheld. Uh, so they're gonna announce more about it in October, and I'm just like looking at this like, yeah, this industry is gonna crash soon. This industry is going to come to a crash because there's too many of these things out there. There's way too many of these things out here, and it's gonna create a great deal of confusion. Either so there's only gonna probably be like a few survivors, and INEO just announced another handheld that they're going to start shipping in December. I think it's the INEO Geek and the INEO. I forgot the other name of it, but I'm just like, you guys are working too fast. You guys need to slow down. Can't keep coming out with handhelds like every other month. This is crazy.
Yeah, I think you're going to see the ones that can support it will survive. Like, I'm not counting the Switch because the Switch is a console. It's not the same as as the little as the is the small form factor gaming laptops, which is what these gaming handhelds are. From Razer and Logitech and Nvidia and all that type of stuff, and the Steam Deck. Um, yeah, it's gonna. I mean, this is reminding me of like the console boom that we had during the third and fourth gen when Nintendo came in.
Yeah,
Like, because people forget, everyone's like, "Oh man, we can't support another console manufacturer," and I'm like, "Yeah, bitches, you don't see, y'all don't know your history. See, during the third gen, we had like 6, 7 console makers, 6 or 7 of them sons of bitches. You had Nintendo, you had the Master System, You had the TurboGrafx 16. You had the Atari 7800. You had shit. Who else? You had those weird clones. You had freaking and that was just that's five right there. Then in the fourth gen, you had the Super Nintendo, the Sega Genesis, the TurboGrafx 16 yet again. You had the 3DO. You had the fucking shit the Philips CDI. You had the Neo Geo. I mean, you had the Atari Jaguar. I mean, that's like seven consoles running around.
Yep.
So I don't want to hear it. And then PlayStation threw their hat. So eight,
Yeah.
okay, eight. And then Sega came out with another two consoles on top of that, the CD and the 32X. So my point behind all this is simply say this, okay? Someone saw that Nintendo and Valve were successful, and now they're trying to get in on the action.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
That's all it is.
this. Yeah. 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 I mean, that's true. That that's definitely true. Um, let's see. Here's at least a couple of a few of the PC handhelds that are out. You have the Anbernic uh, Win 600, the GPD Win 3, um, the 1X Player. They also just announced a new console. 1X uh, 1X Player Mini,
Yeah.
Ioneo, Ioneo Next, Ioneo
Well,
Odin.
here's what I'm going to say.
Let's
The
see.
market cannot sustain this.
Yeah.
Something has got to give. I think what's going to happen is that you're going to have a crash, and the people who will survive are the ones who can make money off of it, either directly or indirectly. So, and I'm excluding Nintendo because Nintendo is a console manufacturer. I think the Steam Deck will survive. I think maybe one or two of the micro gaming PCs, handheld form gaming PCs will survive, and the rest of them are going to lose money. Because this isn't a new thing. This has been around for a while. You know, Alienware tried to do this shit um, as well.
Yeah, I think yeah, it wasn't until after the Switch came out that I started seeing these things pop up more and more. Now, there was these small little Android handhelds that I think came out even before the Switch that was
Yeah,
good
but I
enough
mean,
for
like
emulation, but
actual like gaming laptops in a handheld form factor. They were out before the Switch because Alienware had them, Nvidia had them. Um, who else? You could like get them. You could get custom builds of them, but they were always prohibitively expensive. Like you were looking at like $1,200 to $1,400 to $1,500 for a small form factor gaming handheld.
like the thing about these handhelds because I have an Ioneo Air Pro and I also have a Steam Deck. So one of the things about saying the Ioneo Air Pro is it's definitely not for everyone. It's a bit of a pain to use because again, it still has Windows on it, so you have to actually hook up a keyboard and mouse to it to set up all your games and stuff. Whereas the Steam Deck, it's ready to go. It's pretty much ready to go. Like if you just want to play games, if you're just looking to play your Steam library or even stream your Steam library, it's like it's doesn't take long to set up. It has a console like form factor. It's like having a jailbroken console. Really, it's like you have a console like form factor where you could just play games if you want to, but if you can do more, you can access the Linux desktop, to download emulators and to and stuff like that. So it's sorry, it's the Steam Deck right now is just much easier to use, and I and Nia talked about making their own sort of Linux based operating system.
Yeah,
We're
but
thinking about
they're behind the eight ball.
yeah,
They're behind the eight ball. They're
yeah,
behind the eight ball. Like the reason the Steam Deck is succeeding is because Valve has this huge infrastructure already there.
yeah, yeah,
Like Valve, I remember when Steam first came out and it sucked. Okay, I remember when Valve released the Steam Index, which I mean, I'm gonna keep it real. The Index is like the superior VR device, but it's also prohibitively expensive. It's like $1,000 for the
yeah,
base model. They
yeah,
don't even sell the premium one anymore. Um, don't get me started on their what was that their Steam Pad, their controller that had the haptic feedback in the fucking joy pads or whatever. Like
yeah,
like Valve has had several fuck ups and misfirings to get to the Steam Deck, which is working for them. Um, but I hope everything works out for them. I want look. I want people to succeed.
yeah.
I don't want a lot of failure, but
It's just the problem is it's also a pretty a niche market, and you know,
that's the
it,
thing. It's not niche. It's getting crowded. It's a small niche, but it's getting crowded.
yeah,
There's only room for so many. You know,
that's how
it's like
that's how I was getting at. It's like there's only room. Like I mean, like you just said, there's only room for so many. These things are very expensive. They start out at least aside from the Steam Deck, which is the most affordable out of all of them. They roughly start out about $600-700, at least
mm,
and then they go up to 1,000 plus for the higher end, the quote unquote higher end stuff.
and no
And
matter how much you spend on it, the shit's going to be obsolete in 6 months anyway.
yeah, it's absolutely no. It's like it's one thing to deal with a laptop, like a particular line in the like even though the Dell has a lot of laptops or whatever. They, for example, the XPS. You might see an XPS every 2 or 3 years. So it's not like they're gonna make an XPS and then come out with another XPS in 5 or 6 months. And if they do,
That
it's
is
just a
true.
refresh.
It's like the IBM ThinkPad.
Yeah,
Like the ThinkPad is a high end brand business laptop.
yeah,
You will buy a ThinkPad once and you'll have it for like 4 or 5 years, but that's a laptop for a very specific operation. For these micro uh, laptops in a handheld form factor, because the parts are so small and they're trying to make some money off of them. They're obsolete within 6 months.
yeah, yeah,
Hell, even the Steam Deck was obsolete. By the time you got your shit shipped to you, it was already obsolete.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, as long as there are people that are willing to optimize for the hardware, they can at least keep it out for a couple of years before they
Yeah,
need to come out with another iteration. But yeah,
I mean the thing, if you're expecting 2K, 4K in a handheld, you need to go slap yourself anyway.
that's too much. I mean, that's too much. A, it's why would you have a 4K screen on a small device like that? And B,
I'm being facetious.
no,
I'm using
no,
an exaggeration in order to make a point. You
yeah,
shouldn't expect high end performance out of a handheld.
yeah, it's
Any
too
handheld.
much. Yeah, it's too much. It'd be too much heat, and heat. What does heat do? It kills performance. Definitely kills
Yeah,
the battery.
it
So
tears it destroys hardware. Heat stress destroys hardware.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, so just y'all need to slow down. Y'all need to slow down with these handhelds. I know everybody wants a piece of that pie. The Steam Deck came out, the Switch came out. It's like, yeah, we want we want a bit of that too. Because look how successful the Switch has been. It's out.
Yeah,
It's
but
I
here's
think
the
that
thing, though.
outpaced the piece or the PS2. So,
Everyone keeps on talking about how successful the Switch is. The Switch is Nintendo doing a handheld. Nintendo has never had a handheld that failed.
yeah, yeah,
Never. The Game and Watch, which was their first handheld, like first official handheld, sold gangbusters. The Game Boy sold gangbusters. The Game Boy Advance sold gangbusters. The DS sold gangbusters. The 3DS sold gangbusters. That's like saying, hey, here's a guy who has never failed to satisfy his wife. You think he's gonna not do it the next time he did it? He's been doing it for 50 goddamn years. You think he can go fail now? No.
yeah. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but like to be able to play a full fat Super Smash Brothers in the palm of your hands, being able to play some of these bigger console games in the palm of your hands. Granted, they're not
I mean, it's
really,
Nintendo.
but
Nintendo's never been big on power. Like
yeah,
the last Nintendo console we got, where Nintendo really went out on saying this is going to be a powerful console, was the GameCube.
yeah,
The GameCube was, for its size, that shit was powerful. And it could do some amazing things. Uh, I would say that the Switch is not that. And yeah, everyone's like, I can play it in my hands. Yeah, because it's being throttled so that it doesn't have produce too much heat and the battery life sucks.
yeah,
It's like, are you willing to play a stripped down, booted down, jacked down version of a game in handheld mode? Um, because there's certain games that I played in handheld mode on my Switch, and I would never want to play that in handheld mode ever again. Like Xenoblade Chronicles 2, don't play that in handheld mode.
the thing
Please
is,
don't.
yeah, the thing is, thing is about the Switch. It's the most efficient out of all these
Yeah, well,
handhelds.
with the
Like when it
Switch,
comes to
it's good
power,
enough. The Switch is good enough. That should be. It's like it's good enough. Its performance in handheld mode is good enough. It's my issue is that there's some games in docked mode that don't run that well either. So um, it's not just efficiency thing, but whatever.
yeah, yeah. Let's see. Anything else you'd like to say before we go on to our next topic?
Um, I mean, I'm tired of people making. I'm tired of people like the way people are making gaming handhelds now. Like these micro gaming PCs, these handheld gaming PCs, gaming laptops, is just like how everyone was trying to make a damn Game Boy equivalent back in the day. It's embarrassing. Stop it.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much is. Like I said, I
They
think
gonna be like Sony. Sony tried that shit twice. We got the Vita, we got the PSP, we got the Vita, and both of them failed. And then Nintendo's like, oh, so you say handhelds can't make it in this market due to smartphones? Hold my beer. We're gonna make a console that all it really is just a handheld. Let's see what happens.
Our customer
yeah, yeah.
But as you were saying,
Um, yeah. I mean that's the thing. I think honestly, I think when it comes to these micro PCs, I think Steam Deck's the one that actually got it right, or it's the closest to how it should be done, to how it should be done compared to the others.
oh yeah, yeah. Everyone kept on saying, "Oh man, E3 needs to die." I'm like, no, you need a place where people can go and celebrate gaming, where indie developers can go and meet up with larger publishers to make connections so that they can get their games published and marketed and like if your game is 80% done and you need like 2 million to finish it, like indie developers need places where they can chat with people in the industry and get that help they need to get over the edge. And E3 was that place. And you need places like that. You know,
Yeah.
you need a physical event for stuff like that. Um, and I'm glad it's coming back.
Yeah. A3's coming back. It's gonna be more open to the public. Like there's going to be the first. I mean, what? The first. Let's see. The first couple days. The first day will be business, so that will be all the keynotes. The first couple days will be business, and then the third day will be business and public and consumer, and then the fourth day will be all consumer. So, I mean, they're at least attempting to open it up more to the consumer, to the general public. But yeah, it's cool that it's coming back. At least, I don't. I said it was better if things were more spread out throughout the summer as they have been for the past couple of years. But uh, people acting people getting together to meet about various different games, especially like you said, indie developers to maybe meet various investors about projects that they're working on. Um, yeah, I think having a single space where people can do that is a good idea.
Yeah, people like so many gamers got jaded where they were like E3's terrible and it needs to die. I'm like, yeah, but here's the thing. E3, while to us gamers, we're out looking in. We're like, well, we want them to sell us a product, and that's E3 is a commercial event, so they are trying to sell you a product. But E3 is also a gaming conference, a tech conference where people in that industry come together to hobnob with their fellows and figure out things. Like if you're a developer and you're working with Unreal 5, right? And you can go to E3 and meet with another developer who's working on Unreal 5. And you can talk to them and you can ask them questions about something that you're having an issue with that'll help make your game better or solve an issue you're having with Unreal 5. You can't like they can show you better while you're there how they solve that problem than you just trying to stream some stuff or talk to someone over a voice chat or whatever.
Yeah,
And you need how many indie developers like basically they maybe like a small indie studio of like maybe 10, 15 people, and they have built their game up to as far as they could. Their money's about to run out and they pull their resources to send someone to get a booth at E3, to get word out about their game and to make connections with a publisher to give them the funding to finish their game.
yeah,
And they haven't had that chance because of bullshit.
yeah,
And Jeff Keighley's bullshit ain't cutting it. I'm telling you that right now.
yeah, yeah. Um, I mean, the nice thing about E3 coming back, maybe a lot of these projects that have been pushed back and pushed back. Maybe that's just a sign that the industry starting to is starting to come back into full force. So because everybody was like, well, 2021 will be the year of gaming, and then 2021 came and went. A lot of stuff got pushed back. 2022, again, stuff. There were a lot. There were decent games that came out this year, but there were still a number of things that got pushed back. So 2023 might be a sign of oh, things are finally coming back. Things are finally getting back on track.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad E3's coming back. I hope it comes back, and I hope that it's pretty damn good. Because then you need the industry coming together and doing stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah,
But I guess we got to move on to the last topic, which is free topic, and this is breaking news. Uh, Google Stadia is dead. Long live Google Stadia.
yeah. It's finally dead, huh? Finally dead.
you know, Yeah, and they finally just threw in the hat and said, they tried to say, well, this is wonderful technology. They were so hung up on the technology that they weren't thinking about how they were going to actually build it as a product, which is
Yeah,
stupid to me. It's like, hey, we're Ford. We just created the most efficient engine. It's so efficient that any car we try to build around it will just fall apart. It's
yeah,
like, well, why don't you figure out how to actually get that to work before you start trying to sell it as a car?
yeah, yeah. That's the problem with Google Stadia. It's, it was an interesting idea, and they just couldn't hold it. They just couldn't hold it. But yeah,
Yeah,
I I don't know. I was kind of skeptical of Google Stadia just because of all the other streaming services, gaming streaming services that had come and gone. Um, Especially when they started talking about their
yeah.
prices and how they handled that. It's like, yeah, this sounds pretty terrible. You have to pay
The
to,
pricing, you couldn't control it. I mean, you like you would buy, like, if you bought a game, you couldn't download it even though you bought it. You were just
yeah,
downloading the right to light to stream it, which was kind of stupid. Um, like, that was the things that bothered me about Stadia. Um, but the thing is like, everyone, like, some people were jumping on this and saying, "Well, this proves that streaming games is bullshit." It's like, yeah, but you look at Xbox Game Pass, and that, like, I think like 60% of those games you're streaming, and that's doing amazingly well. So I think it's just how you present it, and not that you present it. If you get what I'm
yeah.
saying.
With Xbox, yeah, Game Pass with the XCloud stuff, all you do is you pay a flat rate, you play a flat rate a month, and you play those. You're able to stream those games. You don't have to uh, pay for those games. I mean, I think some of them you you have to pay for, but if they're in Game Pass, you know, um, you can play them, but they're already in Game Pass. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you have Nvidia Shield, which Nvidia found a way around it. I mean, Nvidia, their streaming service, where basically they piggyback off of the gaming libraries you already have access to,
yeah,
which is fucking ingenious. And then you have, what's it called? Shit. And then you have then you have Game Pass, and then XCloud. Game Pass, like, if you have Game Pass, because I have Game Pass, you can literally stream your games to other Windows devices in your house. Um, if you have, like, the Ultimate package, which includes PC and home console. If you have XCloud, it's which is included with the Ultimate thing. You can stream all the games that are compatible with streaming. So my point is that, cloud-based gaming is here,
yeah,
and as they get better connections and they solve the latency, it's going to be there. But how Google was doing it was literally every wrong way you could do that. They did it.
yeah, yeah. That is true. That is definitely true. But my free topic, um, yeah, my free topic is Overwatch 2 is coming out in a couple of weeks, and they're doing some weird things. For example, in order to play the game, you have to give them your phone number, which a lot of people don't feel comfortable with that. And the reason they're doing this is to cut back on people who are banned coming back 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. They're creating multiple accounts to avoid getting banned. Um,
So they probably need to have a better algorithm for instead of having the algorithm on who your character is based upon your username and all that shit, your Blizzard.net account, it needs to be based on your ISP address.
Yeah.
So then, if someone with that ISP address, that Mac address comes in, it's based on the device you're gaming on. So it doesn't matter if you change the name; it's from this device, this physical device address. That person's been banned.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't understand. I guess their thinking is like, oh well, they can just change their MAC address, but I doubt, some
No,
people.
that is like the MAC address is literally the physical signature of your internet capable device.
Yeah.
Your cell phone, your computer, your laptop. Even if you have like a Google home thing, it has a MAC address on it. That like when you connect to the internet, your ISP, your Wi-Fi. You look at your Wi-Fi signatures. That's the device. The MAC address tells you that that's the device that did it. So if they did that, that would probably cut down on a lot of that. People like, oh well, I'll just change. I'll just put a new. I have alts. It's like it doesn't matter. All your alts are banned.
Well, the thing
And this
is,
isn't just an Overwatch issue. This is a online gaming multiplayer issue because I tell you the reason I don't play Halo online is because back in the day when Halo 2 came out and Xbox Live was huge, I had someone who sounded like a 13-year-old boy tell me how they had sex with my mother
yeah, I mean, that was.
and called me the N word, and I was like, you know what? Fuck this online. We're done. We're done.
Anyway, well, yeah, I mean, even if people can also change or manipulate their phone number too. So I don't know why they're going about this, but whatever. It's either they just have a poor algorithm or their TOS is maybe too strict. I don't know. I hear people on Overwatch can get pretty vile. I've heard that's a very toxic community from people who've played Overwatch.
Uh,
But
I mean, I like the idea of Overwatch. I'm glad Overwatch 2 actually has a single player campaign because Overwatch, I'm like, wow, these are some really interesting characters. It's too bad I don't know a damn thing about them. Like,
yeah,
playing Overwatch is like playing um, the best video game based on a cartoon you've never heard of.
yeah,
It's like, man, this is some really interesting lore. Too bad I don't know a damn thing about what's going on.
yeah, exactly. But
Like, imagine someone throwing you into Splatoon, but you don't know. I mean, into Smash Brothers, but you know fuck all about any of the characters. That's how Overwatch feels to me. I'm like this is an interesting game, but and I'm really these characters have some really interesting designs, and there's like visual storytelling with the characters. But I'm like, I know nothing about these characters because there's no single player, there's no world building.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that was my problem with Overwatch. I just, you know, I was interested in it until I found out. Yeah, it's an always online multiplayer game. It's like, and not to mention their money scheme for it, because it's like you bought the game, but you also have to pay for all you have to pay for all these loot boxes to get the skins that you want. So
Overwatch.
yeah,
I mean, if you care, you can. Yeah, but you can earn a lot of skins as well just from playing the game. It's not as egregious as Destiny, because even Destiny was like that back in the day, where even if you did all that shit, it would be like, oh, you gotta go through all these hoops just to get X, Y, or Z.
yeah,
You know, like Overwatch. I mean, I'm gonna keep it real. Overwatch was a really cool concept, and if Blizzard was run properly and not like the shit show it's been run by, Overwatch would be bigger.
Yeah.
But because Overwatch has been run by charlatans and fraudsters, and people who just generally don't understand how to nurture and grow anything,
Yeah.
Overwatch has been shit.
Yeah. Yeah. It sure has been.
You know, it's been. I mean, because remember when Overwatch first came out? Overwatch was like an adult version of Splatoon, a breath of fresh air uh, to that genre.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they just, I mean, you talking about a company shitting the bed on what should have been. Overwatch should be like how Apex Legends is right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, that just shows the incompetence of Activision Blizzard.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, you're fucking incompetent. You are absolutely incompetent. You like I don't know how you could be a shareholder at Activision Blizzard and not want to fire the shit out of Bobby Kotick and his entire little merry band of uh, uh, shit nuggets over there.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the
I
only way.
agree.
It's like, why? How do you still like? Have you ever worked someplace, or not worked someplace, but seen someplace where the people are so incompetent and terrible at their job that you walk in there and you're surprised they're still around? It's like, how do you still have a job?
Yeah. Exactly.
That's how I feel about Bobby Kotick.
Yeah.
I'm like, how does this dude still have a job? How is he still able to run around and do shit? Because if I was as fucking as incompetent as Bobby Kotick was, in terms of like running a company, yeah, he made money for the company, but in terms of all the other aspects of keeping the company healthy and growing new products, just failure after failure after failure. Because remember, Activision's thing is that they find a niche and they run that shit into the ground.
Yeah.
They don't come up with new shit. Remember how they ran Tony Hawk into the ground? They ran the those games, those fucking rock band games into the ground. Like that's their thing. It's like, oh well, let me run this shit into the ground until it's no longer a viable thing.
Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, that's yeah, Overwatch 2, I hope that it can. I hope Overwatch 2 can be what Overwatch 1 should have been. I hope that Blizzard and by extension Activision sustains it.
Yeah.
Um, I hope that if the Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard goes through, Microsoft can sustain it. I hope the people who need to be fired are fucking fired from that company. Uh, and I mean a hard firing. I mean the firing where they call security to watch you while you pack your shit in that little bag in that little box and walk you out and take your badge away from you on your way out, so you can't get in the building anymore.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's all I'm saying. Anything else we got to cover?
Oh yeah. Apparently Atlas. The last thing I want to talk about is that Atlas is suing their fans because they're keeping this Persona MMO. They were just they wanted to keep this Persona MMO alive.
Yeah,
Just you know when I first heard about it, my first thought was there's a Persona MMO, and then
yeah, there was, and they pulled the servers. and they're like, you can't keep these servers alive. I don't know why this is such a big issue.
Yeah.
Um, because if people love your shit enough,
Yeah, people like it enough. You should at least reward them for the efforts that they've taken to keep the game alive. I mean, I really don't understand why they have such a big deal. You know, why this is such a big deal to them.
probably because they're probably the game probably uses assets. It was probably licensed out and given to another company, and they probably don't want to be on the hook for that type of shit. Plus, it's a Japanese company. Japanese companies are weird about copyright.
Yeah.
Japanese copyright laws are nonsensical. Like in Japan, if you run a gaming bar, right? A gaming bar, you have to have arcade machines in there. If you have home consoles hooked up, they will come and shut down your bar if people are playing home consoles instead of like that. That's the type of bullshit they have in Japan.
Yeah, that's weird. That was that was really weird. Yeah, that's. Is it because Is it because they don't want people playing those games for free? Is that what's going on, or?
No, like I said, like okay, if you're a company and you licensed your IP out for someone to use, and then that relationship is sundered, and yet fans of that company of that game resurrect the game on new servers, then you get into a legal quandary where do you have to pay those people money who worked on that game because you're using their assets, or someone's using their assets in your name to continue the game even after you cancel the contract. And Atlas is like, we don't want to get into that. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that that's probably what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not saying that, but it happened. And what can you do?
Yeah. But in any case, anything else you'd like to bring up before we wrap things up?
No, that's it. I just wanted to get that out the way.
Okay. All right. Well, this has been Project Console, Space Heater. Uh, Glad to have you on, Mr. Red Fox. Is there anything you'd like to pimp out before we shut down, shut the show down?
Yeah, I would like to pimp out BS Busters, my own personal cast. Um, we have a podcast every Wednesday on BS Busters where we talk about video game and pop culture news and events, movies, comic books, video games, etc. It's a little bit of entertainment. It's like a variety show. And typically have Kenoshi's on there. Working on getting a third party member going in, preferably female, for different points of view. If you would like to be part of the channel, you can reach me at MrRedFoxBSBuster at gmail.com, um, etc., etc., or on Discord. You can search on Discord and find BS Busters. Um, uh, that's just the name of the channel. It's called BS Busters. Yeah, that's the end of the cast. I mean,
Yeah.
that's all. So,
Yeah. And this is Kenoshi Abominito, signing out. Have a good week. Have a good weekend. Have a good life. See you guys later.
Peace.